Alright, 1.29.1 on the common test. Hidden vehicles, mostly imports from the Russian server or console version of World of Tanks. This one is not exactly a new vehicle. It's been up tier to tier 9 with better stats, a lot better stats than the 5% camo baseline. So it was a tier 10 on the Russian server, now a tier 9, shifting around from tier 8. The CZE is like a up-tiered Juto in a sense. Not easy being CZE. The H3 is a tier 10 originally without the 155. It's a 120 autoloader on our version at tier 9. TBT is very close to the Russian server. Very close. Also at tier 9. Our server exclusive Jagdpanzer E90. Mini crocodile. Completely unhistorically incorrect. There's no such thing, but God, it's glorious. Also, another tier 9 French light tank in the world of like what, 5 or 6? But this one is a AMX 1357 at tier 9, which is pretty crazy. Rapid firing gun, 8 round in the clip, 1 second between each shot. Yeah, AMX 1357 at tier 9. And the tier 11 from the Russian server, the Chinese heavy tank, BZT-70, without the toxic auto-reloader high explosive gun, but we're still missing the Comrades 75, the Comet tank with a 20-pounder on top without a turret. So that's dead, completely dead after all this time. But let's take a look at the SU-122V. It's been up-tiered, but not exactly a new vehicle. Door stopper of a design, no longer a competition to the Kust, the Bush with the R2D2. It has the armor, but now a lot better camo. A lot better camo. So this thing has like what, 5% camo originally at tier 5, which is crazy to think about, but it's supposed to be the same as a STRV S1 in a sense, right? With the camo pattern, but that's the original camo on the tier 10 version on the Russian server. So now it has much better camo, 24%. Originally this was like 5 or like 3%, a heavy tank camo for an S tank. So current patch, current live server, SU-122V, 5.4% camo. That's terrible. That is real bad, but yeah, the camo is definitely much better. So DPM is about the same, but better pin now. 270. Yeah, better pin. Same alpha, but better DPM. A lot better DPM. Holy crap, a lot better. Maybe the stats doesn't change for a normal S tank, other than the German. German gets a DPM nerf, but better accuracy in siege mode. So regular S tanks with the Kust, with the actual Swedish, they don't get a DPM nerf or buff in siege mode. But yeah, still 100mm on the hull front. 1600 health now, so they buffed the health, but it's still pretty good at bouncing shots. Yeah, very good at bouncing shots. But shoot around the gun into the nook, that's only 30, and the little cupola on top, that's only 80. But bottom plate, 200. That's actually very good for a S tank. 200 bottom plate, that's real good. I remember the exhaust is space armor, but I guess they took that away. It should be space armor on this part. Shield. What? That's not shielding. Oh, there's the assembly shop pattern on the Russian server. But I remember this is space armor. Yeah, 15mm space armor on the exhaust, but it's only 80. Ew. Wait, it's always been 80. It's 100 now? They buffed the upper plate. Even though it doesn't need it, it's auto bounce, but now it's even more auto bounce. That's pretty good. Not around the gun though. You can still jam a shot into the gun, but looks like the gun is not exactly fixed mounted. You could move the gun about slightly. Also slightly, but yeah, the exhaust is not modeled as space armor. That's fine. Yeah, much better armor. 80 for the bottom plate. This thing has 200. We have a better version of this vehicle at tier 9 with better armor? That's crazy. That's surprising. Horsepower per ton ratio is still not bad, right? 19 and 50 km/h top speed. It's a premium tank, don't forget. But let's see. 80 and barely 250 more health. DPM on this thing sucks for the tier 10 version. Huh, it has 26 horsepower per ton ratio though, and 44 km/h top speed, but we have better top speed. 50. And switching to siege mode is only 1 second. Wait, that's pretty good. I mean, 19 horsepower per ton ratio doesn't compete to 26, but switching in and out is very fast. That's crazy. Is there a switching time? I have to go to the actual server. They don't tell you. On tanks.gg, the actual switching time of the tracks. Oh no, but yeah, 1 second is real fast. Our server version looks pretty decent. View range has always been crap for the S tanks, so 350, fine, whatever. Put at binoculars. This is an actual real good version of the vehicle now. Much better DPM, better hull armor, a lot better camo, a lot better camo. This is actually worthwhile now compared to original version. Yeah, original version DPM sucks. It's about the same as with the Koost, so not that great. But the camo on this thing suck. They nerfed the view range, but buffed the camo dramatically. Yeah, actually worthwhile. Actually worthwhile. Alright, moving on. The CZE. Ain't easy being CZE. Tier 7? On console into tier 8? You're telling me this is in competition to the Type 57, or at least the Type 63. No. I would rather not. It's like a armorless AMX M4 1949 in a sense. I mean, there's not that many boxy vehicles of tier 8. The 𝗛𝗲 has armor. This thing doesn't look like it has armor. What's the closest box tank you can think of for a tier 8? Huh. It's a crew of 4. Fits the recent Japanese heavy tanks with the gun cooling, but this thing doesn't have the gun cooling. Nope, it's only 105. DPM's not bad, but rapid firing gun more or less. Yeah, it's a large box based off of the Tiger practically. Yeah, of course, but I mean 2200 DPM is fine, and the gun's rate of fire is not bad for the Alpha, but 13 degrees of gun depression. Yeah, not half bad. Accuracy could be a little bit better. It's mediocre. But 1550 health, slightly above average, but not much, like 50. So 135 hull front. It's sloped, but yeah, no, no, it's not even 200 effective, and not even for the cheeks. This is where the ammo rack normally is for stuff like the Tiger, for the AMX M4s. That's where the ammo rack is, on the cheek. So if you manage to jam a shot into like this part of the armor, likely hitting the ammo rack. So, oof, bottom plate crap. It's about 180, 150. That's not good for a tier 8. It's a fine tier 7, by all means, but cupola 130. Roof is only 30. You can overmatch the roof easily with any caliber at tier 8. But yeah, the gun mantle is fine. Yeah, shoot the gun, but anywhere else, 220 for the turret cheeks, 150 to about 210mm effective. The armor is meh. 80 for the hull sides. exposing the cheeks again on the hull sides. It's a fine tier 7. Why the hell is it doing at tier 8? Bump it down to tier 7. It's a fine tier 7 with the DPM, with the armor, with the health. It's an actual decent tier 7, along with stuff like the A45, the FE201. It's about the same thing, right? With the health, without that much armor, but rapid firing gun. Yeah, it's a decent tier 7, but no, it's a tier 8 for some reason. Horsepower per ton ratio is more like a medium tank, but this is a fine tier 7, right? The Proto Centurion or Proto Carnarvon FE201 is exactly the same ballpark as this vehicle, except it's at tier 7. Radio seems kind of crap for some reason, below average, but yeah, it could be easily at tier 7. Yeah, with that being said, it doesn't feel right in comparison to a Type 57 or Type 63 for that matter, right? So I don't know. Alright, moving on. H3 R version at tier 9. Originally a 155mm version at tier 10. Historically also a 155. Also applying to the H2, but the H2 looks a little bit different. It's more like a rounded turret than an oscillating turret, but large cupola on top. Classic M1 cupola with the machine gun. The hull front is elevated, so has a better chance of driving through shoals or shallow water with the bottom plate acting like a boat in a sense, but driver hatch is elevated. It's an oscillating turret. Gun's different than the Russian server, definitely, but switching to H3, they also have the Greyhound skin for this vehicle, but it's a 155. Yeah, 155 autoloader. 3-round? 2-round. It's not a 3-round clip. Oh. Historically for the T58, it's like 6-round autoloader, 155, which is insane, but premium tank, 120, 5-round the clip, 6 seconds between each shot. Oh man. It's more like the Italian autoloader, right? So not as long of an entire clip reload, but between each shot takes a while. 4-man crew fits the T57s, but no hydropneumatic suspension thing. Not exactly able to tilt the vehicle into pseudo siege mode, but baseline accuracy, aim time's not bad. 7 degrees gun depression, fine. 400 alpha, standard 120mm gun in a sense, but 6 seconds between each shot feels bad, right? It's okay, but if this thing has the armor like with a Kranwagen or a Mil 2, then it's fine. 6 seconds between each shot, you play more like the Italian tank destroyers, like the Contracaros, but M1 cupola is pretty massive. 222 turret front, 140 hull front. Yeah, no. No. You cannot exactly hide the M1 cupola in comparison to stuff like the Kranwagen cupola. Also, it's not even on the gun. It's on the turret base. So you're not exactly elevating or depressing the gun to hide the cupola. It doesn't work like that. It has to be on the turret, on the gun, on the actual gun base. Or not exactly on the actual turret base, but on the gun base. So, small details, I guess. But don't shoot the gun. The gun's auto bounce. 300mm, rounded. Yeah, practically. Turret base is 170. Jam a gold shell or a regular shell will pin, but doesn't really have that much armor. Hull front, sloped 100, sloped 44. On the hull front, more or less like a roof. High caliber gun will overmatch, doesn't matter. Bottom plate sloped 140 or so, but big caliber guns will still pin, so it's like a medium tank. 63 for the hull sides. Health of a medium tank, right? Some heavy tanks have about 1900 health at tier 9, so it's more like a medium tank. Fat medium tank, big and chunky. 17 horsepower per ton ratio. Not half bad. I mean, I would rather play with the T54E1, but that's just me. I would rather play with the Pan than the T54E1 at this point, but that's a medium tank. That was a medium tank at some point in history, but below average radio again for some reason. Camo's crap. I don't know. It's a premium tier 9 American heavy, and we have the likes of the T54 heavy. TS6? Is that tank destroyer or a heavy tank? That hasn't been released yet, but yeah. I mean, T54 heavy is alright. It's not the worst, but TS6 is a heavy. T54. Oh, I forgot about the M103M. The Rambo. Okay. These two are not exactly premium, but I think the Rambo is a little bit better as a premium tank. But then again, the T54 packs a big punch. Not as big as the TS6, but TS6 is like 450? 460! I totally... Sometimes the vehicle just collects dust after you introduce them. Like, after like 6 months, you forget about them. Or how's the T54? I think that's also a 450 alpha gun. T54. Yeah, 450 alpha gun. So these two packs a punch. This is more like an autoloader Italian thing. Okay, we're done. TBT. Practically the same looking as with the Russian server. It's not even a different tier. It's also a tier 9 on the Russian server. Now granted, it's like a 277 at tier 9 for the Czechs. But visually it's about the same. It's a 130 if I remember correctly. Unless they changed the caliber around to like 122. But turret front, not that many weak spots. Round the hull front to about the same as a 277 or 907. But yeah, let's see. It's practically the same vehicle. 130 premium tank. Is it the same dents next to a shovel? Let's see. Dent. Oh, the dents are a little bit different. Alright, so it's not exactly the same dents. There's more of a dent right here than right here. Alright. The texture is different, but visually it's practically the same model. Just different dent marks without the machine gun. Yeah, there's no machine gun, there's no crew stuff like bags or satchels. Yeah, they're practically the same vehicle, just different dent marks. Alright. How are the stats? 130? 130 autoloader. 2 rounds in the magazine. Wait. Was this always a 2-round autoloader? I thought it was just a single shot. Maybe. It's been a while since the super test video. I totally forgot about the autoloader at this point. It's a 2-round. Oh yeah, I think I compared it to the Sentinel. The French tier 9 with the autoloader 120, but I mean, it's like playing with the Skoda T56 in a sense, but at tier 9, I think the Skoda T56 has better DPM. Funny enough, for a tier 8 in comparison to a tier 9, same Czech heavy tank playstyle, but let's see. That would be disappointing. A tier 8 has better DPM. Oh my god, it has better DPM. Not as good pin, but yeah. 2000 DPM in comparison to 2000. Not even 2000. 1600. You're paying so much for that penetration. Alpha is like 30 better than the Skoda T56, but did I say Skoda T57? I'm an idiot. Skoda T56. But yeah, you're paying so much for that penetration. 40mm of pin. Fine, but you're paying so much with the DPM. And baseline accuracy is about the same too. so it's not that much different. 13.5 horsepower per ton ratio in comparison to about the same, 14. So more or less better cupola size, but yeah, this would be so much better as a single shot. Yeah, no cupola weak spot, rounded turret front, auto bounce in some angles. Yeah, turret is strong. Upper plate is also decent, like a 277 in a sense, but slight strips of the roof for the hull, that's only 30. You can overmatch, so stay at medium distance. But yeah, I feel like the single shot on the Russian server is better. 14 horsepower per ton ratio, 36 kilometers per hour top speed, 380 meters of view range, all with below average radio for some reason, slightly. But yeah, the single shot on the Russian server is better. It's still 2000 DPM, but 3 seconds of aim time, that feels kind of bad. I mean, about the same horsepower per ton ratio, surprisingly. Oh man, I mean, oh man, slightly better hull front, slightly 130 in comparison to like 120, fine, but oh, it's the same feeling of you getting to play with the BZT-71, right? You want to use a single shot on the BZT-71, but the DPM is dramatic in comparison. I mean, this feels disappointing as with a TT-130M. That's not a premium tank, but still, check tier 9. Would I rather play with this vehicle or the TT-130M? That's a big question. This feels mediocre. This feels a little bit better, but it could use more DPM on this thing. Like 2200 DPM. And like 15 horsepower per ton ratio. 18 would be a little bit overkill on the horsepower per ton, but it's a premium. At least the turret front is strong, right? And you have 7 degrees gun depression, so you can actually haul down, but yeah, the single shot is more consistent than the autoloader, I feel. And these two are practically about the same boat as a TT-130M. It's a little bit better, but not much. So yeah, definitely a letdown in comparison to the Skoda T56 at tier 8 into a tier 9. Okay, moving on. Oh la la! Oh, holy crap! It's beautiful. The mini turret is going to kill this thing. I don't know about it, but the mini turret is going to kill this thing. Other than that, it's glorious. Space armor on the hull sides. It's like a mini E100 as a tank destroyer. The actual crocodile. It's like a baby or cartoon version of a crocodile. And that is beautiful. Even has the ammo loader crane in the back attached to the vehicle. Nice. Is this space armor on the hull front? I mean, it looks like it's bolted. And just additional armor plating, but it's so good looking. It's like the E100's gun, but longer. And that's a tank destroyer for you. It's a freaking bunker of a vehicle. 150mm main gun. 290mm of pen. DPM's alright. 750 alpha. Accuracy aim time is surprisingly not that bad. 5-man crew. Only 1 loader. That's fine. I mean, with our crew skills, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, with the Russian server, they don't have the update to the crew skills. You're missing out on a loader skill at that point. But, I mean, 2,600 DPM is not bad, right? Also firing high explosive anti-tank, normally. We haven't taken a look at the shell velocity, which could kill some of the vehicles, but that's fine. 940 meters per second. That's like the Chinese tank destroyers. Yeah, high explosive AT for gold shield. And it's about the same as with the actual Jagdpanzer E100 with the 420. But that's fine. How good is the actual armor? That's the main question. 5 degrees per side gun traverse limit. Ugh, it's like the Polish, but then again, this thing has armor. Supposedly. Please. Doesn't have as much health as a Tortoise or even the Jagdtiger. Jagdtiger has about 2000 health as well, but 180mm hull front. Yeah, I mean, it's like a sloped E100 plate, practically, upper plate. E100 is like 200mm sloped, but 55 for the crevice. 140 in some parts. So, you cannot just jam a shell and hoping to shot trap into this nook. More or less, right? So that's good, but 170, 190, 210 rounded cupola to about 250-ish, 240, 220. So it's like a E5 cupola, right? A little bit better than E5 cupola. E5 cupola is about 230 or so. Yeah, alright. That's still better than like 200mm baseline, right? So 250. There's some weird parts of 230, 250 on the actual commander cupola. So it's like with the Type 4 or Type 5. It looks like a weak spot. Unless you're shooting like garbage shell. Unless you're shooting gold shell. Yeah, these are weak spot. But if you're shooting normal shells, then you will have difficulty penetrating in some aspects, right? Onto nooks that are like auto bounce 230. Like the side of the machine gun mini turret thing that you get trolled. But it's like with the Japanese heavy tanks or some of the German heavy. Like with the Moishin or the VK100 in a sense. So it looks like a weak spot, but it's still like 240. So unless you're shooting gold shell into these weak spots, quote unquote, you're not actually penetrating with regular shells, funny enough. Bottom plate, 140 sloped to about 240, 250-ish. Thank God they did not nerf the space armor. Like what they did with the E77. It's actually space armor on the hull sides. Thank God, man. It's also 120 side armor too. You're not penetrating side scraping this vehicle. It's 110 for the superstructure. You can jam a shell into the rangefinder. But, small target. Yeah, very small target for the rangefinder. I mean, could angle and still throw off the shot. Unless they're shooting into the crevice next to the gun, but armor is surprising. I thought this is going to kill, like the cupola is going to kill the actual armor, but surprisingly, 240, 250, not half bad for a cupola, right? So this might hold up. It's not fast. It's not fast. 11 horsepower per ton ratio, 28 kilometers per hour top speed. It's not fast, but I mean, as expected, it's more or less a mini E100 with a large caliber gun. 370 meters of view range, which is kind of meh, but I have a soft spot for German vehicles. I have anime crews for German vehicles as well. Gonna like this thing. I'm going to like this thing. If there's an anime version of this vehicle, that would be amazing. If there's a 170mm main gun version, the actual crocodile. Hell, you already have this thing. Just put the actual crocodile. Stop teasing our balls and put the actual crocodile in with the 170mm. Can they even fit a 170 before the front wheels or drive wheels dig into the mud? That would be crazy. Like, it's front heavy instead of rear heavy. That's why the vehicle just sinks into the front and just dig itself into the trenches. The only downside to this vehicle I can feel is obviously the mobility, but the 5 degrees per side gun traverse arc. That might be a problem, but you have to be very aggressive. Just tilt the vehicle around, swing the vehicle around to throw off the shots into the cupola. And cupola is not that weak, right? 240, 250 is still relatively decent. Alright, this thing. Oh. Quad tracks, autoloader, rapid firing gun. Is that like a 80-ish millimeter? 85? Is that like a 75 millimeter gun? I wonder. I forgot the actual stats, but it's practically AMX 1357 at tier 9. So I presume it's a 75 millimeter gun, but you have 8 rounds. And that deals a lot of damage in the span of 7 seconds. So you deal about 1,000 damage or so. And you run away to reload. How many tier 9 French light tanks do we have? Including the cars, right? Like 7 now? VCS, the ERAC, the actual EBRs, AMX 13s, at least 5. 75mm autoloader. Penetration obviously could be better, but you're spamming gold shell like with the actual AMX 1357, but this thing actually carry high explosive now. The tier 7 doesn't carry high explosive, if I remember correctly, but 3-man crew. Yep, fits all the EBRs and actually AMX 13s, more or less. EBRs have the loader or radio operator, one of which. But no, it's a radio operator. The commander's the loader. DPM could be. I mean, this thing cannot have DPM. Aim time is quick, but 75mm for a tier 9, you have some upside. The upside is you're spamming 8 shells, and that will deal 1,000 alpha damage, right? Yeah, 1,000 alpha in the span of 7 seconds. And it's only 20 seconds of reload, so it's like a Jagdpanzer E100 shell in distribution, but you can actually hit multiple targets and spread out the damage instead of like one gigantic shell. Traverse, quick for the turret. 50mm sloped hull front. Is it auto bounce hull front? No, it's not. It's only 25, thank God. It's not 50, slope 50. Slope 50 for the upper plate is crazy. It's only 50 for the bottom plate and for the turret. So thank God this plate right here is not 50. Otherwise it's auto bounce, like with the S tank, which is troll. Side armor is 25. And it's no armor. Only 1300 health. This is a priority target. You cannot leave this thing alive, right? If this thing is alive when half your team is dead, it can spot and assassinate any other vehicle that's singled out, right? Go off by yourself, killed off right away. 30 horsepower per ratio, 65 kilometers per hour top speed. Doesn't weigh much, but doesn't have the spare track mechanics. There's so many quad track vehicles that they have to update. AE Phase 1, ST66, the BZ tanks, the T95s. There's a bunch. So the recent Zlog Panzerneck WZ-46, that's a quad track. So yup, no quad track mechanics. Camo is not as good. It is more or less like a medium tank chassis, so it is somewhat big of a profile for the silhouette on the hull sides. It's a medium tank initially, but if this thing is kept alive, it's scary assassin of a light tank, right? The gun is scary on this thing. If this thing has the same size of a AMX 13 or say EBR, even scarier, right? You don't have the chance to shoot back and actually hitting the vehicle. It just runs away. So thankfully the counterbalance to the actual gun is the size of the vehicle. So it's about the same size as a Czech light tank or a actual medium tank in some aspects, but that's the main balance. Also, view range is not the craziest, so it's a AMX 1357 at tier 9. Priority target. Kill this thing right away, otherwise it'll devastate your team, right? It will definitely devastate. I wonder if tanks.gg has been updated. Give me a split second. It did! Ah, finally! How much ammo does this thing carry? Let's see. ERAC, where's the Projet Louis? 80 rounds! Okay, that's another downside to this vehicle. Potential damage sucks. You cannot spam too much. That's a real bad ammo count. But then again, it's still 8 times 1000 damage. So that's still, right, 10 or just 10 times 1000 damage. So you can reload the gun 7 times without like running out of ammo, but 9 degrees gun depression. So I wonder how much potential damage the AMX 1357 is if you spam too much in that vehicle. 5! Oh no. Yeah, the big downside to one of the best tier 7 light is that it has no ammo. Only 56. Potential damage on the AMX 1357 sucks. So yeah, if you can carry like 100, maybe 150 rounds of this thing, this will be a beast. But that's a big downside to this vehicle is actual ammo count. You cannot use the gun that frequently. But if you do, it deals lots of damage. So the same applies to the Projet Louis. Only, I mean, 10,000 is still not half bad, but yeah, comparing it to a machine gun, it's about the same as a machine gun, except better shell velocity. Yeah, better shell velocity. It's still fine. 50 rounds. Shell velocity slightly better, but yeah, more or less like a machine gun. Let's compare it with the machine gun. The size is about the same as the LPT-67, practically, but better accuracy, better horsepower per turn ratio, a little bit more health. Theoretically better armor, but not exactly. Not as good camo, same view range, better gun depression. Better module damage, but yeah, potential damage is dramatically less, of course. Just kill this thing right away. You have to kill this thing right away. You cannot leave this thing alive. 5,000 potential damage on that thing, on the tier 7. That's crazy. Finally, the supposed tier 11 that comes to our server as a tier 10. They don't have the cojones, I don't think, of putting the actual Object 279 as a tier 10. No way. With the actual armor, no way. You're putting the 279? No. The 279 early, the 726, has a better penetrable side armor, in a sense, right? But the actual 279 has impenetrable side armor, impenetrable hull front, possibly turret front if you don't count the cupola. But for this vehicle, yeah, it's like a Doom Turtle with a bigger gun. The Doom Turtle with a turret and a bigger gun, if that's ever possible. But it's 30mm space armor on the sides, supposedly, at least on the Russian server, but cupola is the main weak spot. There is a bulge for the gun depression, for the breach, but cupola on top for the commander and the loader. There should be 2 loaders. And the tracks could be blown away, similarly to a T95 into a T28, in a sense, but 180mm. They did not show the AP round pin on the 3rd iteration of the super test. They changed the gun away. No more high explosive. 190mm pin high explosive round. Auto reloader 2 round in the clip. No, none of that. It's only a 4-man crew in comparison to a 5-man crew on the Russian server. Yeah, the Russian searchlight thing opens up. Yeah, there we go. Hello. But 2 loaders. Yeah, in comparison. They have the special skill too for the tier 11s. But yeah, it fits better with the BZ-75s. The actual Chinese heavy tanks don't have 2-man crews or 2 loader crews. So that's fine. AP 180. 850 alpha, DPM 2200. 8 degrees gun depression though. 0.43 accuracy, 3 seconds at aim time. Still takes a while for the gun to load. I mean, it is a 180mm, but there's no AP-FSDS. It's an AP round. Shell velocity is not great, but it's better than the 400 meters per second on the actual high explosive. So this is very much a close range vehicle. 600 meters per second for the high explosive anti-tank. And 500 for the high explosive. It's only 90mm pen high explosive, but you deal 1200 alpha damage. It's not as crazy as the catered high explosive, the 190-ish millimeter pen, but that thing has like 400 meters per second shell velocity. So they definitely took that away. Not exactly the same high explosive shell, but it's a very much close range vehicle. And they did not buff the health. We just mentioned that on Monday, I believe, like a few days ago. This thing needs more health. 200 or 2300 is not much. You need like at least 200 more health or 500 more health to be the same ballpark as a Type 5 or Mouse or E100 at that point. But 270 hull front. It's flat. 100 for the upper plate at a very good angle. Bottom plate 145. I mean, it's not as good as the 300 on the Russian server, but by all means, they buffed the turret front to 300. So turret front is basically impenetrable unless it's a Jagdpanzer E100 shell, more or less. But shoot the cupola at only 180. Ugh. It's 240 for the cupola on the Russian server for both the commander and the loader. That sucks. If this thing has 240 cupola, then it was so much better. Yeah, 240 cupolas. Hull front is 310 compared to 270, but bottom plate 160. Yeah. The bottom plate is fine. For tier 10, fine. They need to buff the cupola to like 200mm at least. This is basically the same cupola as a 5A or BZ-75. So, yeah, no. There's no space armor. Shielding is 15 for the actual side skirts, but no. No way. You know what they did? They took away the actual space armor aspects of this vehicle. They just modeled the space armor as actual armor. That's what they did. It's like the T95. I'll show you with tanks.gg. So full list. Go up. T95. Tier 9. Tank destroyer T95. Doom Turtle. So as you can see, the side armor blows off. You can actually remove the side armor, or at least one part of the tracks, into a T28. It transforms. Robots in disguise, but this is actually space armor, right? The same applies to Lesta's version of the BZT-70. Yeah, this part blows away like a T95. This is actually space armor. It blows away. But for our version of the BZT-70 at tier 10, they actually model as actual armor. It's not blow away, it's actual armor. So I mean, the vehicle is historically incorrect, so nobody cares at this point, but yeah, this is 100mm. It's a nerf to the vehicle, of course, but yeah, it's not space armor on the hull sides. Definitely not. Also, funny enough, this is categorized. I just realized that as a premium tank, premium tier 10. If this is a premium tier 10, I'll shut my mouth, right? We'll cross that Rubicon if you're putting this as a premium tier 10. No question, fine. Keep the crappy cupola, keep the non-realistic, non-space armor sides, fine, whatever. Keep the garbage health. I could deal with that, but if it's a premium, I'll deal with that. But it's a premium tier 10. Do they have the balls to release this thing as a premium tier 10? I don't know. That would be another Rubicon. I mean, we already crossed something this year, so you already put tier 10 special vehicles into loot box. Might as well. Might as well. Tier 10 premium. Here we go. Rapid pace. 10 horsepower per ton ratio. 25 kilometers per hour top speed. Not fast. Definitely not fast. But it's 12 on the tier 11. And 33 kilometers per hour top speed. 81 tons. 105. It weighs more. And a slower mobility. For that matter. The engine power is about the same, but it just weighs more on our version. And view range is kind of crap for a tier 10, but okay. This thing needs more health, but if we're putting this as a premium tank, fine. Low health, doesn't matter. Garbage accuracy, garbage gun, in performance most of the time, fine. It's a premium tank. What could you complain about? Oh, God. I mean, dispersion while moving, according to tank.gg, is crap. And moving the turret is crap. So, that's interesting. I mean, if this is a premium tank, I'll shut my mouth. Premium, tier 10, Chinese heavy tank, right? You see that. I mean, the 113 doesn't count. That's a testing version. Also, this is a testing Waffentrigger. So, you don't really see premium tier 10s. Normally. Normally, it's all blue. Blue is special, whereas the gold ones are premium. So, first tier 10 premium tank, I'll shut my mouth. I'll shut my face. Well, there you go, folks. So, take your time to look at tanks.gg for the actual hidden stats. The video is already long enough, but yeah, at least we're getting our server exclusive vehicle like the Jagdpanzer E90. I'm a big fan of the crocodile. I'm an enjoyer of the Jagdpanzer E100, even though it's not the crocodile, right? So this is one of my favorite in terms of visually looking of a vehicle. But I mean, the only weak vehicle or kind of below average of a playstyle vehicle, I think, is likely the CZE and possibly the TBT or the H3. This has been buffed to perfect levels. This is a premium, I cannot complain. And AMX 1357 at tier 9, scary. So yeah, the only weak link I could see is likely these three. But anyways, whatever. So yeah, potential stats, they could change it. They could give back the high explosive auto reloader to the BZT. They probably won't. But for now, not bad. But as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.